1 kilogram of nutrient applied through fertilizers, farmers obtain 5 to 30 kilograms of additional product. It's also estimated that 50% of the food we eat in the world is being produced with the use of mineral fertilizers. There are several factors attributing to low fertilizer use. Among them, and this includes 1, limited access to fertilizers and low financial ability of smallholder farmers. For example, in sub-Saharan Africa, more than 60% of the population are smallholder farmers who, most of them, struggle to live and feed their families on less than 2, according to the African Union Commission, 2019. Therefore, the financial ability limits them to use fertilizer with the amount that is required. The average fertilizer application rate in sub-Saharan Africa is also low, though is growing with very low pace from 6 kilograms per hectare of nutrients in the year 2000 to about 15 kilograms per hectare in 2017. And according to African Union Commission 2019, the rate was projected to reach about 19 kilograms per hectare per year by 2021. The rate is below the Abuja Declaration of Fertilizer for the African Green Revolution, which is set a target of increasing the level of use of fertilizer to an average of at least 50 kilograms of nutrients per hectare. Nitrogen is the dominant fertilizer used in Africa, responsible for over 75% of urea, but also ammonium nitrates and sulfates. Today, the demand of fertilizers in Africa is estimated to be 5.0 million nutrient tons of nitrogen, phosphates 1.3 million nutrients tons, and potash 0.7 million nutrients tons, making a total of 7 million nutrient tons. In Tanzania, fertilizer utilization is estimated to be 19 kilograms per hectare, also less than 50% of the Abuja Declaration of using 50 kilograms per hectare fertilizer nutrients. Utilization of fertilizer varieties between 300,000 tons to 500 metric tons per annum, which is equivalent to 28 to 40% of the soil requirements. For instance, in 23-24 cropping season, fertilizer demand in Tanzania was approximated to be 8 tons, and the major fertilizer producing countries being Egypt, Tunisia, South Africa, Algeria, Nigeria, and Morocco. These countries have a developed fertilizer industry and also a high level of fertilizer use. In sub-Saharan Africa, phosphate rock processing takes place in Mali, Senegal, and Togo, while phosphate fertilizer is produced primarily in Kenya, Madagascar, Nigeria, the United Republic of Tanzania, and Zimbabwe. In general, most of the fertilizers used in Africa are imported, while those produced in Africa are exported outside the continent. That's a dilemma. Nevertheless, some degree of inter-regional and intra-regional trade in fertilizers in Africa does occur. Much of the trade involves landlocked countries importing from and through coastal countries and other African countries. In Tanzania, almost 90% of the fertilizer consumed is imported, and less than 10% is domestically manufactured. About 100% of all urea, ammonium-related fertilizers are imported from different countries, including Russia. Russian-Ukraine war, which started in the year 2022, has increased the prices and also created shortage of fertilizers as a result. This situation contributed to limited availability of fertilizers and food insecurity to some countries. In the year, that is 2023, high international food prices have moderated around $1,100 per ton to $600 to 700 tons. So, the low fertilizer uses in most African countries have resulted to a continuous soil depletion and low crop yield and hence non-sustainable food systems. According to International Fertilizer Association report 2019, about 75 to 80% of all cultivated area is characterized by graded soils, and this affects 65% of the Africans. For 3, farmers' capacity building on the use of fertilizer